You come to this country on a boat illegally from France, you will not stay. That's it. Take from that what you
And it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter what the political situation is of the woman. Let's imagine that she has proof that she is persecuted. Let's imagine she's a well-known politician, for example, from the former Afghan government.
Reform UK love to cry victim. They say the media is always against them. But the moment someone actually pushes back, the mask slips and the truth comes pouring out. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. This time, Leia Cunningham thought she was walking into a soft, friendly interview. Instead, she got real questions about deporting women to the Taliban, about putting a convicted racist on stage, and about platforming a COVID conspiracy peddler. And when pressed, the cracks showed. What you'll see isn't the PR soundbites. It's the unfiltered reality of who Reform UK really are.
Let's talk to Leia Cunningham, Reform UK member of Westminster City Council, joined the party of the Conservatives in mid-June, fresh from the Reform conference. Leia Cunningham, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Nigel Farage has done a series of interviews at that conference. Among other things, he suggested that he would be comfortable sending female asylum seekers back to Afghanistan. Would you be?
Look, we're not talking about women fleeing the Taliban. We're talking about illegal migrants. Over 90% of our men who cross safe countries to reach Britain. And the vast majority are not refugees and they're not vetted. No one's sending innocent women back to the Taliban. For me, that's emotional blackmail. We're deporting illegal entrants and not genuine refugees. It's not about fleeing war or the Taliban. It's about breaking the law. And let's face it, Lewis, most of them are men, not women.
Sure, but in terms of those, some are women, and in an interview with Sky News' Beth Rigby, Mr Farage responded yes when asked if he would detain and send back women to the Taliban regime. So are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with protecting our borders. If you enter our country from another safe country, that is illegal entry. It's, you know, they land on British shores and they just say the word asylum and they become asylum seekers. And if you really cared, and if the people really cared about protecting vulnerable women, perhaps we should focus on the ones currently here, who we can protect from unvetted men of who we know no criminal history being placed near schools and estates. And we've seen that someone was convicted of sexual assault 8 days after arriving. That's our priority, the people in this country.
So to be absolutely clear, you would be that a Reform government, we can expect women who are claiming asylum in the UK, they may be claiming that if they're sent back to the Taliban, they may be raped, they may be killed. The Reform response will be, I'm afraid you're going back.
Lewis, that is not the right situation. And they're coming from France. They're not coming from Taliban where they're...
No, they're coming from Afghanistan. So the choice is they're not going to go back to France. They're not going to be accepted back to France. The choice will be for your government here or Afghanistan. I'm asking you, will you be comfortable with sending a woman who may claim that she may be tortured, she may be raped, she may be killed back to the Taliban?
Look, no one's comfortable with the scenario you just explained. But any government must prioritise the people of this country, and they've been ignored. We have put the rights of foreign criminals, illegal migrants, foreign treaties way above the rights of British women and girls. And I've had enough of it. I don't want to hear of another rape, of a sexual assault of someone who shouldn't be here, housed at the taxpayer expense. Of course, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm a woman myself. No one is.
So the answer is to send those women back to Afghanistan because we're worried about what's going on here. That's the choice that you're prepared to make.
Women or men, you come to this country on a boat illegally from France, you will not stay. That's it. Take from that what you
And it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter what the political situation is of the woman. Let's imagine that she has proof that she is persecuted. Let's imagine she's a well-known politician, for example, from the former Afghan government. Your response will be, tough luck, you've got to go back to the Taliban, a barbaric medieval regime which treats women, as you know, beyond belief, beyond appallingly. Tough luck, go back.
No, Lewis, Britain has always protected genuine refugees.
That's what you've just said.
Oh, hang on. We won't be blackmailed.
Oh, right, okay, so some could stay.
Can I say, we won't be blackmailed into keeping every illegal arrival under the threat of what if.
So let's talk about this. Reform UK. the party that never stops branding itself as the defenders of law and order, the party that claims to stand for discipline, respect, and the rule of law. And yet, who do they choose to give a starring role to? Not a community leader, not someone with integrity. No, they put forward a man who was actually jailed for encouraging people to burn down hotels. Think about that for a moment. The Law and Order Party is elevating someone convicted of inciting chaos. And when pressed on this, how does Leia Cunningham respond? Her defense isn't outrage, it isn't distance. No, it's that this man is basically a political prisoner. A political prisoner. Absolutely unreal. That kind of framing is an insult to people who have genuinely suffered for their political beliefs. To compare someone jailed for encouraging arson with freedom fighters or dissidents is not just absurd, it's offensive. And here's the thing. Cunningham is not a foolish person. She's articulate, she's educated, she knows exactly what she's saying. Which makes it even worse, because if she can look at this situation and still spin it as defensible, then it's not ignorance. It's a conscious choice. It shows that reform isn't just unserious as a party, it's morally bankrupt at its core. This isn't the behavior of a movement rooted in principles. It's the behavior of a group willing to excuse almost anything, so long as it feeds the narrative and keeps the outrage machine running.
That's not asylum, that's the chaos we have now, right? If you're
That is literally all asylum. That is what asylum is. What if? Because we can't prove the counterfactual.
They're not asylum seekers.
But what if they are?
Illegal.
How do you know? Some are. Some are.
They're not. Because when you enter this country illegally without any documentation and you about where you're from, which a lot of them do, if they were genuine asylum seekers, they would come with passports and they would come with documentation. But you and I know they don't.
You think all asylum seekers have all the paperwork?
Yes, of course they do, and they should. Why do I need a passport to enter my own country? I can't rock up to Heathrow Airport without a passport and be like, let me in. Somehow
you're not an asylum seeker. You haven't fled from a regime, perhaps at short notice, in the last minute, in the dead of night. Like, I mean, it's not the same thing. You and I going abroad is not the same as someone fleeing the Taliban.
They're not fleeing the Taliban, they're fleeing France.
So you're the party of law and order, are you?
Of course.
Right. Is that why that you're giving a starring role at your conference to someone convicted of incitement to violence during a riot?
Look, I'm not comfortable, and I doubt you are. You're a journalist. You should be seeking the truth. I'm not comfortable with someone being arrested and put in prison. I don't know how long she spent in prison, longer than she should have. And I'm a prosecutor. She got a longer sentence than needed for a tweet that she deleted straight away.
I'm not comfortable with incitement to violence, are you?
I don't see that as incitement to violence. You see that Kneecap said go and kill an MP, Conservative MP, and nothing happened to them.
She encouraged people to go and burn down asylum hotels. How is that not incitement to violence?
There was no proof that anyone acted on that tweet. And I'm not comfortable.
So what? So what? That's not how the law works.
So for me, and I think most British people, I don't think we are free when someone is met at a plane with 5 armed police for a tweet. We have to have the right to say what we want.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Lucy Connolly, the person that you invited to speak from your conference floor. Is that a sign of a serious party, a party of law and order? Pretending that someone was a political prisoner as if the Prime Minister himself personally put her there, saying that she was a political prisoner and putting her up in lights. Is that the sign of a serious party that is serious about going into government?
I'll tell you why she was put up, Lewis. Because the Bail Act dictates if you remand someone in custody until they're sentenced, until they're tried. She wasn't given bail. I'm not saying what she said was right. I think what she said was absolutely horrific, and I don't condone it in any way. It's something I would never say myself, and I don't approve of it.
And Lewis is absolutely right on this point. Misinformation isn't just abstract. It has real-world consequences. When people are bombarded with conspiracy theories about vaccines, they stop trusting science. They don't get vaccinated. They spiral deeper into these online echo chambers. And the result? People lose their lives. That's the reality. And yet reform seems determined to give these voices a platform, as if it's all just harmless debate. But this is where things move from reckless to downright grotesque. Cunningham was asked about the limits of free speech, a question any responsible leader should be able to answer clearly. Because let's be honest, there are obvious lines. Holocaust denial, for example, isn't some edgy opinion. It's dangerous, corrosive hate speech with a documented history of fueling violence. So what does Cunningham do? Instead of simply saying, yes, that's beyond the pale, that has no place in civil society, she pivots into self-pity. She complains about journalists using big, scary words, as if the real problem isn't Holocaust denial, but the tone of the media holding her accountable. That's not freedom. That's not courage. That's enabling hate under the cover of free expression. It's the classic reform move. Cry about censorship while quietly excusing the most toxic ideas imaginable. And that right there is the mask slipping again.
From your conference stage, put up in lights, would you agree with Dr. Sim Malhotra that it's highly likely that COVID vaccines have been a significant factor in the cancers of the members of the royal family? Do you think it's appropriate from a party that is aspiring to government to spread misinformation in that way and talk about, very disrespectfully, the cancers of our royal family?
We're a broad church. We believe in freedom of speech. We might not agree with what everyone
Should you be
says.
that broad?
No, I mean,
putting on medical quacks.
That's not a party line, and that's not party policy. But
I should hope not.
No, but we believe in freedom of speech, and people are welcome to disagree with him. It got the debate going, and that's why we put him on.
Debate on what? Vaccines don't cause cancer. Debate on what?
The causes of vaccine. I'm not saying COVID vaccines cause cancer. I haven't seen proof of that. He may have. I have not. All I'm saying is...
We don't need any... Well, no, there is no proof. There is no proof because it doesn't happen.
You can't be staunch defenders of free speech like we are and not allow people to voice opinions that you may disagree with. Obviously, Lewis, you have an issue with that. You think people who don't agree with you are not allowed to voice their opinion.
No, I just don't think serious parties of government should necessarily have someone spreading misinformation. This is serious stuff because people hear these things and they don't get vaccinated and there are consequences to it. We're seeing all around the country at the moment rises in measles, in mumps, precisely because of this nonsense. It's not free speech to platform people who are talking nonsense.
So let's just take a step back. He wasn't talking about any vaccine. He was talking about the COVID vaccine, right? That's different. No one's taking COVID vaccines anymore. We know that COVID vaccines didn't prevent COVID, and we know that it was forced down your throat. I was pregnant during COVID. I'd had it 3 times, and the NHS called me every week, forcing me to have more and more and more. I'm not saying it caused cancer, but he's not stopping anyone from getting a COVID vaccine because no one's taking it anymore. He didn't say all vaccines. He was very specific with COVID vaccines. Listen, if you don't agree with him, you don't agree with him.
People still take the COVID vaccine. People still take the COVID vaccine. If you went into government, you'd be responsible for administering it. And then you're putting on some quack at your conference who is spouting conspiracy theories about it.
I don't know many people who are still taking the COVID vaccine. My mum, who's 91, perhaps, but even she doesn't take it.
People do.
He didn't say, I don't. Do you have a percentage of how many are still taking the COVID vaccine? I don't.
People are still, the NHS is still administering the COVID vaccine. It's still something that is available. And you know as well that people don't hear stuff like that and go, oh, I'm sure the COVID vaccine's a problem, but the rest are okay. They just hear vaccines cause cancer. That is what your party is putting at your conference, and you were supposed to be a serious party of government. Why do it?
You really take people for fools because you think that people can't form their own opinion.
You put fools on at your conference.
No, you think people are fools. You think that whatever someone says, they believe it blindly. People are a lot more informed. And that, I think, was the problem with the journalistic of the political class. People aren't idiots. If they hear an opinion, they'll look it up and they'll figure they're not going to follow blindly. And we like to platform free speech. And that's it. I get it. You don't want free speech. You don't want people to say what's against the status quo or what you don't approve with. I get it. And I've seen it in all journalists.
Are there any limits to free speech? Are there any limits to free speech? Would you put a Holocaust denier, for example, on your platform? Oh, so there are limits to free speech.
You know, it's such typical blackmail. Holocaust, Nazi, all these big terms. I don't believe there should be any...
It's just teasing out the logic of your own position.
So if there is a limit to free speech, who decides? Who gets to decide what me as an adult gets to see or hear? Who decides? Why is that an arbitrary decision for someone else? I can decide if that COVID vaccine, what he's saying is right or wrong. People who are listening...
No, but you decide who you put on at your conference. That's the difference.
And he has an opinion. That's it. You picked on one thing he said. He said, I didn't actually listen to the speech, but I did read the headlines. And I accept that loads of people would disagree with him. But you can't possibly be saying, how dare we put him on? I get it. You probably like...
I am saying that, but anyway...
That the government has got. We don't.
You're the the one putting out misinformation. You've literally platformed a conspiracy theorist about vaccines. You don't get more misinformation than that.
Do you believe in freedom of speech, Lewis?
Okay, we're going around in circles. Leia Cunningham there, Reform UK member of Westminster City Council. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for Leila for coming on and having that spirited discussion. I hope she comes back again.
Let's be crystal clear here. Reform UK isn't a party with tough answers or bold solutions. It's a party perfectly comfortable with cruelty, a party that thrives on conspiracy theories, and a party that has no problem handing the microphone to racists and calling it debate. And for once, just once, the media didn't sit back and nod along. They pushed, they challenged, and look what happened. The mask slipped, the polished image cracked wide open, and what spilled out was the raw, unfiltered truth about who they really are. If you watch the full interview, you'll see it for yourself. It's an eye-opener, not because the questions were extraordinary, but because the answers revealed Reform's actual mindset. And here's the kicker. Even Farage couldn't help but admit he doesn't care about his own constituents. That tells you everything you need to know. So if you want to see that clip, it's right here on screen. Watch it. Share it. Because moments like this don't come around often. Until next time, this has been The Whip Line. Thanks for tuning in.